Hi, Yuriko.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How are you?
Pretty good. Yesterday I went to an art exhibit.
Art exhibit.
Yes, an art exhibit. So I live in the countryside in southern Kyoto, and there have been, I think there was around 5 or 6 artists who came to live in the village for 3 months, and then they made lots of art while they were there, like sculptures or paintings. And over the last few weeks, they've been doing their exhibits.
What do they make in the site?
Well, since it's a small countryside town, and the town I live is famous for Japanese tea, so we have lots of tea fields, they try to incorporate the theme of the local environment. So, for example, there was one sculpture which was the weeds, the leftover weeds from like the fields, and then they took all these weeds, these dried weeds, and they made this giant ball. And the ball is like maybe 3 meters by 4 meters or something. This 4 meters by 4 meters. This huge ball of weeds.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And another exhibit was in this tea factory, this old tea factory. They, from the 3rd floor, they made running water.
Oh,
Like they had like, there was like a hole in the floor from the 3rd floor, and the running water would go down like a waterfall to the 1st floor. And then on the 1st floor, they put some kind of exhibit. And so you could see the water flowing down. And one of the artists, he would do some kind of strange movements in the waterfall.
That's interesting.
It was interesting. Yeah, it was really interesting. So I had a good time. How about you? How are you doing today?
Oh, nothing special. Just studying.
Just studying. Yeah. The last week you were talking about you had some tests coming up.
Yes.
And then you had your biochemistry test. I bet it went really well.
I hope so.
Yeah. And then what's the next test?
The next is nervous system.
Nervous system also sounds difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck with your
Thank you.
next test. So, in last week's podcast, we talked about club activities and their kind of purpose and meaning in campus life. Today, why don't we talk a little bit about part-time jobs?
Okay.
Yeah. So, this is a generalization, but I don't think many high school students in Japan have part-time jobs. Some do, but when I look back in America, it's quite common to have part-time jobs in high school. But I don't think it's so common in Japan. However, at university, it's really common, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell me about, for example, what kind of part-time jobs do university students in Japan usually do? So maybe let's start out very general. So like all kinds of university students.
Generally, many college students do work in cafe or restaurant, and they serve food to customers.
Oh, I see. That's cool. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. And how about medical students? I know some do that. I have heard some say that. But what other kinds of part-time jobs do medical students often
Yes,
do?
medical students, including me, mostly do teaching at home or cram school.
Yeah, I found that. I mean, that shouldn't be surprising, but I found it really interesting when I first started teaching at the medical college several years ago. All the students were telling me that they had these teaching jobs. Yeah, and I thought, oh, that's really interesting. So maybe private tutoring?
Yes, I teach an elementary school student at home one-on-one.
One-on-one,
Yeah.
okay. And how often do you meet the student?
Twice a week.
Twice a week, okay. And what subjects do you teach them?
All subjects, but mostly mathematics and science.
Science. Is this to prepare for junior high school or just for their elementary school level tests?
My students want to take an entrance examination for private junior high school.
Yeah, that's something we talked about before, right? The private and public
Yeah.
schools. I see. So you're helping your student
Yes.
get ready for that. That's great. Do you teach any English?
No.
No, oh, you should, Yuriko. You're very good at English. So there's private tutoring, and then the cram schools, which we talked about before, how many medical students will go to cram school before entering to prepare for the entrance exam. So once they become medical students, they often teach at these cram schools.
Yes.
Yeah. How about you? Have you done that?
Last year, I went to cram school and teach students on one-to-one.
I see. And is that for them preparing for college, or did you teach at a younger level?
Students are between an elementary school to high school.
Oh, okay. So it could be several levels that you had to teach to. And which age group were you teaching to?
Mostly junior high.
Junior high school students. Okay. And how was it? Did you enjoy? Or?
Yes. It is sometimes difficult for me to teach an elementary school student because we cannot use basic formula.
Yeah. So it's a little challenging.
Yes.
Yeah. Another question I had about part-time jobs is, as you mentioned, many medical students teach at cram schools, called juku in Japanese, or private tutoring. How do you find these part-time jobs?
I found this job via the internet.
Okay.
There's site to make contract with family and
Oh, really?
us. Yes.
Oh, okay. So like a site to set up a tutor with their child.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you submit some kind of resume?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Great. And then maybe you start some communication and then they can hire you. Cool. And how about for cram schools?
For cram school, we also via the internet.
There's some sites for applying to cram schools.
Yes.
Are they more likely to hire medical students than other students, or?
There's tests.
I see.
Before.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have to pass the examination.
I see. Wow, that's interesting. Everything's about tests in Japan, right? Yeah. Okay. So not only do you apply for a job to teach at the cram school, you actually have to pass an exam for that cram school.
Yes.
Okay. Was it hard?
No,
That's
but
hard.
many medical students can get the job.
Maybe you're good at science and math and maybe many English as well. Okay, that's great. That's really interesting. So you may not know this, but out of, let's say, your class, your second year, what percentage do you think of students have a part-time job? If you had to guess.
90%.
90?
Yes.
Wow, really, really high.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think, of course, maybe back in America, college students would have a part-time job, to earn some money. But it's, wow, that's a really high number.
Yes.
Even though you have such a hard study to
yes.
prepare for lots of exams and...
We are very busy.
Very busy.
So get a job with highly hourly wage.
Yeah, so that's important. So the salary, the pay is quite good for
teaching
job, right? Yeah. Usually maybe more than 1,500 yen an hour, sometimes 2,000 or sometimes even more.
2,500.
Wow, that's really nice. Yeah, that's great. That's good. Okay, so we talked about part-time jobs a little bit, and we can always come back to that in the next episode. But something that you brought up earlier, what I thought would be interesting, is volunteer work.
Yes.
And we talked about this before. Maybe in some other countries, it's quite common to do some volunteer work, maybe even in high school or college. In Japan, I don't think volunteer work is so common. But how about at your medical school, at Nara Medical University?
I am a member of volunteer work activity, and my my some friends do some cleaning or holding parties with patients in hospital.
How do you become a member of this kind of volunteer activity?
When I was in the entrance ceremony, I was asked to get in the activity,
Really?
volunteer activity.
Oh, okay.
And I joined.
So there was maybe someone trying to recruit
Yes.
first-year students?
Yes.
I see. And about how many students join this type of volunteer work?
5 or 6 students in my grade.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how often do you do volunteer work?
Twice a month.
Twice a month. And so sometimes it's cleaning the hospital,
Yes.
since our university is attached to the hospital. It's right next door. Or do you visit other hospitals?
Visit other hospitals, but in Nara.
In Nara.
prefecture.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So somewhere close by.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you also throw parties for the patients?
Yes.
What is that like? What kind of a party, if you could describe it?
There are many patients in hospital who stay many hours for a year or so.
Oh, yeah.
And they want to talk with people outside the hospital.
Yeah.
So mostly younger people, like students.
Yeah.
And we serve food and do karaoke.
Oh, that's
with
fun.
patients.
Karaoke,
Yes.
Japanese, perfect. Karaoke. Karaoke, or usually the way we say in English, karaoke.
Karaoke.
But I think a lot of people understand, yeah, karaoke. Oh, that's cool. So you have like maybe some kind of machine,
Yes.
like a karaoke machine. And,
Yes.
oh, and do the patients like that? Singing songs and...
Yeah, we could get together and do together.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's really nice. Yeah, that's good to hear. And what have you learned from doing this volunteer work? So has it been valuable to you, or how shall I ask? What are some of the benefits that you feel about being in this type of volunteer club?
In the future, I will be a doctor and communicate with many different patients. So it is very good to have opportunities with patients with various diseases.
Oh, I see.
Some patients cannot talk fluently, and some patients have difficulty with movement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We have to change, depend on patients.
Oh, yeah, that's great. So, yeah, if you're going to be a doctor in the future, it's great to have some exchange with patients now to better understand how to maybe treat them. Yeah. And you said in your year maybe about 5 students are joining right now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's really, of course, Yuriko, you're so busy. You have all your study, you have your part-time jobs, 2 clubs, and you're doing volunteer work.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Well, with that, why don't we finish up for today?
Okay.
And to our listeners, again, thank you for listening. If you have anything you're interested in about medical college or Japan, you can always send us a message or leave a comment. And we look forward to hearing you. And thanks again for listening.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. See you next time.